Hey all. Alright. Let's see if I can keep doing I keep starting this and I get to a point where I'm just like stuck. It's like I'm rambling on and on and on, and then I'm like, okay, let's start over. So let's hope that this doesn't get turned into a mess. Um so this is something it's a prototype of something I built a very long time ago, probably like 11 years ago. Um, it contains essentially a number of building blocks, like a number of modules, essentially. Um, First, there is a clock. This can go from um, super low frequency LFO range to ultrasonic above human hearing. That is clocking a shift register based sequencer. Um, and you can select the length of the sequence. It's like a pseudo-random sequencer, so meaning it's not actually random, but you can make the the bit stream so long that our brains don't hear it repeating. It's just too we just don't remember that well. Or you can make it so that it's very short and you hear an obvious repetition. Um, so then the output of and there's these two coordinates rotary switches that determine the length and some other things about the sequence. Anyway, the output of the sequencer, there's several outputs that come from this sequencer. Those are sent into a DAC, a digital analog converter, where they are turned into an analog control voltage. This control voltage is set into another one of the blocks, modules, whatever you want to call it in here, and that's a VCO. It's just a simple square wave VCO. It has a pulse width control. Oh, the clock that it's an oscillator, but the clock that clocks the sequencer also has a pulse width control and a range control and a frequency control. Same as this audio oscillator. So the output of this pseudo-random sequencer puts a control voltage into this oscillator, and there's a handful of controls that allow you to do different things. You'll see, it's kind of hard to explain most of them, but it's pretty versatile. And then the output of that audio oscillator is sent into a logic gate, where it can be gated on and off, like essentially the volume switched on and off. Or you can feed it there's a utility type oscillator in here. It's real simple. It's just you flick a switch and it sends this oscillator into that gate that the output of the other oscillator is going into. And then there's frequency control. And what it does is creates this ring modulation type effect. Am I missing anything else here? And then you can put an external clock into it. There's two different clocks that come out of it. One is just the straight. It's kind of like a through. The clock that's clocking this, whether it's external or internal, comes out another buffered output. But then there's another clock output that is coming from the sequencer. So it's like a pseudo-random clock, as well as having that pseudo-random sequence of control voltages. I'm doing pretty good so far. What else? There's also a control voltage out, so you can plug the that CV into an external oscillator. This is not the way, if it ends up being an actual Mountain King product, this is not the way it's going to be. Everything about it needs work. I mean, it's awesome and it's fun and it's cool, but I really just kind of came up with this idea. I didn't really even come up with the idea so much as this is essentially a project that you used to see in like magazines, like electronics magazines in the 70s, like late 70s. I have, more than one. I've found it in several different places, and I even had a kit that, like an electronic project kit that was like, it was called like computer sound effect thing, because it makes that like this random computer brain calculating. And I took, and it's basically the same idea, but I took that idea and expanded it and just, used my own circuits and stuff as opposed to just copying what everybody else. I just took the basic idea. So, yeah. Alright, let's take a listen to it, and I'll try not to make this into a too messy kind of explanation and demonstration thing. So we're going to listen to the internal oscillator getting clocked by the sequencer. By the sequencer. And this is the volume knob for the output of that oscillator. So we have, like I said, there's a range switch. The highest range, and I think this is the pulse width. When it's this high and you narrow the pulse width, it almost disappears because it's already so narrow. It's pretty low. It's almost getting down into LFO range. Having that pulse width, being able to manipulate the pulse width, you can get that great like horn kind of honky. And we can put some crazy reverb on it. Alright, that's a little too much. Okay, so like I said, here's the oscillator range and everything. Then there's the master clock. Here's the rate. Here's the pulse width for it. And you'll see that makes the rate faster. But the nice thing about having a pulse width for the clock is it alters the on and off time of the clock. So if it's real narrow, it's only on for short periods of time. As you widen it, it stays on for longer and longer. And if it's a square wave, it's on and off equal lengths of time. So right now, we are, the reason why you're not hearing the VCO just free running, you're just hearing it come on and off, is because the oscillator is set up, the the CV is set up from the sequencer is set up to also turn the oscillator on and off. So you're only hearing it, the oscillator turn on when there is a control voltage. But flip this switch. Now the oscillator is on all the time, and you're also hearing it being sent control voltages. You can also have it so that the oscillator is only on when there is a clock signal, instead of right now, like I said, it's just free running. It's on no matter what. Even if there was nothing else, the oscillator would be going because it's on all the time. So let's see. You hear it's only on now when the clock is hitting. I don't know. Now it's only on when there is a clock signal and a CV signal. So it's barely on. Okay, there's also, I added this little simple portamento type switch. I don't think it's working right, but I think so now it's gliding in between the notes. Oh yeah, no, that works, okay. This is a very short glide to it. You can hear just barely happening. Okay, now I'm gonna turn on the modulating oscillator. Good tip for doing this type of modulation. If you have one signal source that's varying and then the other one's set, like on a lot of ring modulators, you get the best sound when you try to get the stationary oscillator's frequency to be as in range with the varying one as possible, because then you don't hear the two oscillators individual tones as much. They just, like right now you can hear like that high pitched things start blending. You don't hear just the two separate. I guess this is technically amplitude modulation. It's just done in the square wave domain, so it's on and off. It's not an analog amplitude modulation. Okay. We'll go back to some of this stuff. Let's change the coordinates for the navigation computer. Right now it's long, so you're not hearing a repeat yet, but these LEDs are the individual outputs coming from the sequencer. I wanted some kind of cool, late 70s, early 80s display before people. I actually have a handheld electronic game that's, it's all made up of 7-segment displays, except it's supposed to be like a game and stuff. It's not being lit up as numbers. So, I would put like a tinted lens over it so you don't see the. Anyway, I thought it was clever and my vibe. I'm trying to get it to it's funny, sometimes it seems like it's always doing these short repeats, and then sometimes it just does all random. And the faster you make it, the more you will start hearing repetition, because you're shortening it so your brain can, like I said, remember it. Huh. Well, there's one. And then if you switch to another location and then back again, it's different. Okay, let's, before we move on to, where is this going? Goes here. Okay. We'll listen to external oscillator getting sent some CV. I think. Where is it? Is it this? Sorry, I'm messing around with the module. Has nothing to do with this one. Okay, so and let's see. Here's a. So today we're hearing both the oscillator from this being fed the sequence, the CV from sequencer, and an external oscillator getting fed the same CV. Okay. Next. We are going to listen to the clock output of this. Not the through type clock. This is the clock that's the pseudo-random clock that is created by the sequence in here. Doesn't really sound too exciting, right? I mean, it's cool. It's actually, hold on one second. I'm going to do something real quick so we can not have to deal with too much nonsense here. Where is this going? I don't want to look at that. Where's that clock coming from? Anyway, it's not really good. Alright, so let's listen to this. We're gonna make the clock that's clocking the sequence up into audio range. Alright, so what you're hearing is pseudo-random noise, and you're going to hear it vary from like a solid tone to completely as random noise as you can get. And it's all going to depend. I'm going to try to go back and forth and be clever about this, but it does the best Atari sounds. I just gotta find him. I'm going to use an external clock to do this part here. Okay, I just got to get... Put this in here. Oh, I got... Jesus Christ. Okay, hold on. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Okay. This goes here. And this goes here. This goes here. Okay. Much better. Off screen, I am adjusting the external oscillator that's now clocking the sequencer, just so you know. It's just the internal oscillator is just a little wonky, so it kind of gets noisy no matter what you do, even when it should just be a solid tone. I put an LFO into that external oscillator and I could do that for hours. I've been told those are Alan kind of sounds, which they are. It's like, instantly childhood, in my basement, Atari, just like fascination, awesomeness. So here, why don't we just take a listen? Now what we're going to hear is this, but we're going to listen to the VCO, which is still being sent a CV, except now that CV is more complex and weird and not just individual step notes. So, is this going to become a Mountain King product? Not. It's not going to be this. I have since designed. It's going to have the majority of these elements that you're hearing here, except I don't know. I feel like, it would make more sense to have an external oscillator and make this more of a controller, but with, I don't know. Maybe it'll end up being two different things. I have one thing that it's definitely going to be, a module of sorts, but maybe it would be good to have it have a tabletop synth version of it, where it has all the same elements and stuff, and just I'll go and really go to each section and make it killer, because right now, like I said, I really just threw this together. It's just ideas, did some experimenting, and I was like, okay, I'm sure this will work fine, and then, mod it here and there. Of course, it didn't work when I first built it, because the inside here, it, looks like a nest, literally like a giant nest of wires. But, yeah, I love stuff like this. This is, my stuff. So, and, these days with modular synthesizers becoming, or having become all the rage and continuing, and modules like the Turing machine and similar things like that, these shift register based pseudo-random voltage sources and stuff. I thought I'd show you kind of where that began, back in, like I said, back in the 70s. There's, I know there's one article, a single page article that's in Polyphony or Polyphony or however you say that, the Paya magazine, synthesizer magazine. There's just it's very simple. It's actually the same circuit as that kit. It looks like the same person even drew it. It's hand drawn schematic and stuff. It's awesome. But that doesn't. Like I said, that was very simple. That's not this. I just took the concept of that other one. Actually, I didn't even take I saw that, and then I was thinking about the circuit and how it works, and then I was thinking about how digital noise generator circuits work, like the shift register clocked kind, and I was like, oh, I see, these are kind of the same thing, and then you do this and this and this, and so all that came together into this, and I was fortunate enough to had not stockpiled, but maybe I bought a bunch of these, harder to find, maybe not that hard to find, shift registers that are great for making noise generators with, and yeah, because there's some that, whatever, I'm not gonna get into it. No one cares about this, right, Alan? Right. All right, so yeah, guys, I just thought, you might enjoy this, so thanks.